Sometimes the cheap option is the best option. These are 25 of the most beautiful cheap DIY ideas for your Minecraft build. Typically, when you decorate your bedroom, it's nice to have some furniture, and you can start by building this simple wardrobe that actually holds armor for you. Start by placing down some trapdoors on either side, then add some trapdoors in the middle with a couple of armor stands. Following some item frames and scaffolding, now you can place the armor in there, and you've got yourself a fully functional wardrobe. This simple display case works through some clever trickery. You see there's a glass pane in front of the item in the item frame, and around the back, there's a cauldron sticking out. This cauldron is there because panes don't connect to them, whereas any other block, the pane will connect, and it can end up looking pretty weird. With the simple trick in mind, you can make various display cases for all of your rare or special items you want to show off. We all love a little aquarium in our homes. Fish can really help add that little bit of life into our bases. So this aquarium or fish bowl should fit right in. Start by placing down a chest, then surround it with some trapdoors, top it off with a glass block, an item frame, then a map placed underneath, place in your fish, and close up the trapdoors. Now you've got yourself a beautiful little aquarium. Just don't remove the chest or the fish will fall through and you'll have to start all over again. Sometimes when it comes to the small details, you've really got to think outside the box. For example, how about when you're building a little bench, instead of using wooden materials, try using large drip leaf, as when they're placed facing one another, they create the perfect bench. Though there's the problem that you can't exactly sit on them. Although this is easily fixed by powering the drip leaf with redstone, they no longer fall and they're locked into place. Glass panes have a lot more uses than players tend to give them credit for. You don't just have to use them for windows. A great example is when you're decorating a village and you want some icicles to hang from the buildings. Light blue stained glass panes are perfect for this because from a distance, they appear to be little icicles, and their transparency really helps to sell this effect. You can hang them from buildings, under bridges, or at cave entrances. The little things can really add up to be a lot. Farmland can often look a bit boring or repetitive since it's always the same blocks, and let's face it, seeing the same carrots or wheat fields isn't the most beautiful thing. Adding something as simple as a podzol can really help spice up the beauty of your farm patches, because these blocks can be decorated with grass so your farmland now looks more natural and a bit overgrown. Plus, they have a very muddy appearance. Now you have the problem of exposed water patches. The blue doesn't really fit the muddy, overgrown theme. However, the most common problems always have the easiest solutions, and in this case, it's dark oak slabs. Dark oak slabs fit the aesthetic pretty well, plus they don't completely remove the water in the block, so your crops are still able to grow. What's even better is now you can have an extra block to decorate with, and you can place down some lanterns, which not only look nice, but it helps liven up the area too. A problem many players have when decorating with a certain block type is they restrict themselves to that palette. Instead, don't look at the blocks for the blocks that they are. Look at them for their texture and their color and how they can fit that theme. Like when building muddy pathways or muddy houses from mud blocks, brown mushroom blocks work perfectly for smoother mud since the texture has a similar contrast but a much cleaner, less gritty texture. Grass blocks don't generally look that great for hill edges since the grass texture is only on top. Then there's this weird dirt to stone transition which really isn't pleasing to the eye. Moss blocks are the best solution since it's got that grassy look and it can blend in with the surrounding terrain. So instead of your hillsides having this harsh clash of colors, it's a simple contrast between the two, and from a distance you can really tell which one is more beautiful. When you start ignoring the block for what it actually does and pay attention to its detail, you can find some pretty unique uses for these blocks. For example, the cartography table is genuinely a fantastic block for creating a little globe in your builds since it's got a small planet tucked away on the corner of the block. Surround it with some stairs and you've got yourself a pretty convincing globe. Beds are great and all, but what about sleeping bags? They don't exactly exist in Minecraft, but this is where we need to be a little creative. If you place a bed in the ground, it tends to be flush with the ground surrounding it. But if they're surrounded by slabs instead, the top of the bed sticks out by a couple pixels, which makes a pretty convincing sleeping bag, perfect for your cave builds or a little campsite. Hidden bases are always fun, and you can get very creative since there's many ways to hide your base. So how about trying to use some drip leaf? It's the perfect block for hiding a base entrance, especially in areas like ponds with lots of foliage around it. When the drip leaf is stood on, it will fall, but after a few short seconds, it pops back up, which forces the player into crawl mode, and now you can crawl down your little 1x1 hole into your hidden base. Beautiful things can hide secrets too. We've all built that really bland looking staircase. I mean, it's not much to look at. Plus, it's fairly dangerous since there's no side rails, so falling off is a definite hazard. Though you don't need any fancy blocks or rails to make this safer or any more beautiful, you just need some extra stairs. See, all you need is some corner stairs. By replacing the stairs on the end, it creates a pretty convincing staircase, and less of a chance of falling off is always a benefit. Beacons aren't the prettiest of things to gaze at since it's always the same color. Though you can change it with glass, but then again, it's just one color. So how about you create a rainbow beacon? Using various glass planes placed on top of one another will only change that section, allowing you to create some really beautiful beacon beams. Bird bath houses are definitely a great way to decorate or beautify your builds. Start by getting yourself a leather helmet, then change the color to yellow, add some white dye, then brown down. This is for the base of the bird bath house. Now make sure you have 2 blocks broken into the ground. Then from above, power a dispenser with an armor stand inside to land on the block. Place on the helmet, then drop it into the ground, and repeat this process. After using pistons to push the blocks into the correct place, this allows the blocks to pass through the armor stand. The rest is pretty straightforward, giving a cute little bird bath house. Having some little plants around is great for decorations. Using the simple leaf trapdoor trick can work wonders. However, you can take this trick to the next stage. By adding some vines, it helps give the blocks a lot more detail and texture. This simple trick can also be implemented onto bushes, trees, or any leaf block that feels like it's missing that little extra detail. Campfires are an often underutilized block, since it has a built-in mechanic many players have always wanted, making shelves. While you can only place items on campfires that can be cooked, it's definitely handy for when you're making shelves for a fishing market or meat stands. Building this is also very simple, as you only need to place the campfire down, put them out with a shovel, then you have some perfect shelving units ready to go. When building trees, believe it or not, you don't always have to use wood. While this sounds pretty out of the box, using diorite or andesite walls are great for thin birch or acacia trees. Since the blocks look pretty close in color to their wooden counterparts from a distance, they're just beautiful thin trees in the distance despite being made from stone. Instead of using grass blocks or oak leaves, switch to moss blocks for the ground since that color won't be changed. And for the leaves, use jungle leaves as they retain their saturated look. Now your once dead looking build is gleaming with that luscious green life. Ponds are great for making your base beautiful, though decorations of a pond can sometimes be challenging. What can you use for stone? While it sounds strange, stairs are the perfect solution. Since they can be waterlogged, you can place them in various spots, connecting all 4 corners to make some very convincing pond stones. But what's also great is with some trickery, you're able to offset them so they're not symmetrical either. You can take your pond decorations even further with some lotus plants. Since they don't actually exist in Minecraft, you do need to get a bit creative here. By using coral plants and warped trapdoors, you can place them above the water to create some pretty convincing lotus plants. And given there's various coral plants to choose from, you can have lots of colors and shapes for a simple yet beautiful decoration. Sky lanterns are always beautiful to look at and can make or break the beauty of a build. This beautiful decoration is always incredibly simple to do. Start by having a block placed in the air, then cover it with trapdoors on all sides. Then you can remove the block from inside and replace it with a lantern, and it will remain floating. Definitely a cheap hack worth building. Genuinely beautiful. Cherry blossom leaves are definitely some of the more recent beautiful additions in Minecraft and can be used in many ways. One example is how this Reddit user decided to use their cherry leaves for making a carpet, a really simple way to make a unique looking carpet. Since these new leaf blocks aren't completely transparent, you don't see the blocks underneath, so this works far better than you might think. Hanging signs can be used in other ways other than hanging signs. For example, you're able to use them for creating tables. Start by placing down some trapdoors on top of blocks, then break those blocks and underneath you can place your hanging signs. What's also fantastic about this is they connect to the trapdoors in a unique way, and they sit in the center of the trapdoor so the tables have a nice overhang. This Reddit user had a really unique spin on making paths by using new pink petals. Since you're able to adjust their quantity in each block, you can create the illusion of a curve. It's such a simple idea, but allows you to create such beautiful shapes in your Minecraft world, like making pretty pink pathways leading to your home. This little trick definitely takes some patience and some practice, but once it's complete, it was definitely worth the attention to detail.
Oh, and by the way, YouTube thinks that you would like this next video, so go ahead and check it out, and I'll talk to you later.